Hey everybody, in this video I wanted to go full circle and share an update on kind of what ended up fixing the 09G transmission on my 2007 Volkswagen Beetle. I made a couple videos about this already and thought I had a fix early on, but also wanted to create a video just to say how it finally ended up happening. So if you're following along, you know exactly what I did and what worked for me. Can't say it's going to work for everybody, but yeah. So if you don't know the story, I bought a 2007 Beetle, had an auction house, and it was pretty inexpensive. Only had 87,000 miles on it, and overall, it's been pretty great. Was able to drive it back, but I did notice there was some pretty severe transmission issues, or at least severe to the driver. And after doing my research and knowing more about the 09G, this can be a pretty common thing. Generally what happens is it either has to do with the valve body itself. The valve body is a part specific to automatic transmissions, and it transfers and channels transmission fluid to the places where it needs to go in order to engage clutch packs and get those smooth gear shifts that you want. Also, the solenoids can go bad on the 09G quite frequently, and when those go bad, they need to be replaced or rebuilt. There's kits to rebuild them. They're also, you can buy refurbished ones out there, and that was my first step. One, it was a cheaper option, and I thought it might be able to solve the issue. I installed those in the last video that you can find up at the top if you want to watch kind of how that went down, and I thought it solved most of my issues.
Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah.
But it turns out it didn't. Honestly, what needed to happen was once the transmission really reached just above running temperature, it wasn't able to continue to build the pressure it needed to be able to move the parts and pieces around within the transmission and get it to work properly. So I was still experiencing harsh downshifts and some rev flaring once I was reaching about a 70 degrees Celsius on my transmission fluid temperature. So that's why at the end of that video, you saw me pretty happy, excited, thinking I fixed it. The more I drove the car, the more I learned that it didn't completely solve the problem. The next step that there really is, and there are a few other options probably out there, but what I ended up doing was just replacing the valve body with a remanufactured one from a reputable provider. So I went with a company called Street Smart Transmissions. I think the part in the end was $600 to $700. It replaces the entire valve body as well as make sure that it's working properly. They put it on a bench and test it. After they do their repairs on it, they send it out to you, and then you send your valve body back so that way they can remanufacture yours and probably sell it again if it's in decent enough condition. So the process, and that's the reason why I'm not making a video on this, the process of installing that is essentially what I did in the solenoid replacement video, except for the solenoids are already installed. But you are going to drop your current valve body, put in the new one, and then put a new transmission fluid in. Overall, for the most part, and I'll get to that, it solved my issues. Running above 70 degrees Celsius, that was one of the first thing I checked. Everything's good. The biggest thing I didn't want to happen is the continued hard downshifts. That just seems like it's destroying your transmission when you're feeling that, and maybe it is. So that's been eliminated. I don't have any problems regardless of the temperature of the transmission, which is great. I am still getting a small rev flare between second and third, and the other thing I'm getting is the fact that there's a harsh reverse engage right now, which wasn't there before, but can be normal. It's even something they address in the documentation. The other thing I'm noticing is that these are adaptive transmissions. So the 09G will learn, and that's one of the steps you take when you install the valve body is to reset all the learning so that way it can redo it. I believe I've done that right. I've tried it using VADCOM. I've tried it using pulling out the right fuses, because there is a way to do that too, to reset the TCM. Once the car gets up to operating temperature, it'll start to relearn the transmission. There's some driving steps that you can do to help speed that along and that you should take. I've done that. And the car does learn in a singular drive. So meaning when I start the car, get it up to temperature, I can tell that the transmission is helping correct that second to third shift. The flares get less, engagement seems better, and eventually almost completely goes away and drives perfectly. The problem becomes when I turn the car off and drive again the next day or later that day, it feels like it's starting all over again. So I don't know what the answer is there yet. My next step really at this point, because I've tried resetting it a few times, is probably to reach out to Street Smart Transmissions and just ask them. They seem to have a ton of experience in this area. So that is my plan for the next steps. Nothing right now that I'm concerned about, and nothing that's not drivable and workable. And now I am moving forward with the other projects for this car, namely suspension and lifting it, so that you'll be seeing that soon. The same thing happens with the reverse. There is a way to correct the reverse engagement on the 09G, at least with the Beetle. If you're feeling that, you put it in reverse, let it engage. It's not going to feel good. Put it in neutral for 3 seconds, put it back. And you do that up to 10 times, and the transmission starts to learn that reverse engagement. And it works pretty well. But again, turn off the car, those learnings seem to go away. So I'm not sure if that means my TCM is bad or something else. So that's what I still have to figure out. And that's really the update on how I ended up solving the 09G. So working with a certified remanufacturer of valve bodies would be my suggestion. If you watch this vlog style video, hopefully it was helpful to you. And the next one we'll be seeing the disassembly and the install of a lift kit on the Beetle. I might be breaking it up into a few videos because it's quite lengthy, but I'm pretty excited about it. It's been a fun project. But I will say, after working on the wagon, as many of you guys are aware, working on old cars sucks. Everything takes longer, specifically disassembly, just because everything's rusted, falling apart. But overall, the car is in pretty good condition. It's just there's a lot of bolts that haven't moved in a long time. So keep an eye out for that, and I look forward to giving everyone an update very soon.